Okay, welcome back. A little later we'll have Motorsport Mania with San Marino Grand Prix highlights and bone-jarring Indy 500 action.
In the records of Australian racing, it has been animals like Phar Lap, Burnborough, Gunsynd and Kingston Town who left the deepest hoofprints on the pages of history. But nowhere in the records is there space for one of the most vilified of four-legged thoroughbreds, the racing camel.
Yes, in an earnest bid to set the record straight, Kieran Pratt made that pilgrimage to Alice Springs for one of the highlights of the Red Centre's sporting calendar, the Camel Cup.
Camels first arrived in Australia in 1840 from the Canary Islands and Karachi. Our first homegrown dromedary was born a year later. They proved popular for police and farm work, travelling into the outback, carrying huge loads over long distances. Outback history features camels, dragging civilization to isolated parts of Australia. And now, the lure of the camel is still pulling people to the Red Centre.
Are we all ready for this?
I think so.
I think we're
you ready?
Did you bring the camels? Oh, of course I did. They're my luggage.
Good.
Here for the 1990 Camel Cup, American jockeys from Virginia City, Nevada. Australian hospitality being what it is, the Territorians wanted the Yanks to feel at home. It was a hot, dusty day, and a man's not a camel. The first stop, Chateau Hornsby. The first rule of this place, expect the unexpected, like a winery in Alice Springs.
Hey, the Aussies are going to win.
The US-Aussie rivalry goes back to 1987, and so far the Aussies have won 3, the US 1.
Oh, we're taking the trophy home this time. They just don't know it. We're going to save them the trip of bringing it next time.
When are you going to let them know?
Saturday, about 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Is that an Australian salute?
The Americans were already having a good time and, charged with the fine local drop, were ready to board their next leg of transport to the Alice.
Can you believe these people have put us on a Wells Fargo coach, then put us on camels, and we haven't even seen town yet?
Now up this way, there's no avoiding a camel ride.
Now, see how easy that was? Well,
Put your arms around the carriage.
I will. I told her she was as safe as in her mother's arms.
Aren't they, Ray? Safe as in my mother's arms. That's not true, Mum.
Hold on.
These beasts are so prehistoric looking. While the ride is not too comfortable, on the hump you feel every bump, it is peaceful atop a camel. But this pace was no race, unlike what we'd find on Camel Cup Day. Many of the camels for race day will be supplied by Noel Fullerton, Camel King of the Outback. This is Noel's camel farm, 90 kilometres out of Alice Springs, an acknowledged mecca for those wanting to find out about these weird and wonderful creatures.
So you can't run with that. Oh, tight from the other side. I'll tighten up there.
Yeah. In the 20 years of camel cupping, Noel has been the backbone, supplying camels, involving more people in the sport. His daughter Michelle is the current international champion. Noel has won the Camel Cup 5 times, and his other daughter Alicia took a trifecta of wins. In fact, Fullerton camels have always won the cup, though this year Noel's not giving himself as much of a go. Controversially, he won't be taking his best camels to town.
I really believe that if you're going to have an international event, you don't draw out of a hat for your camels. Because, I mean, my best camel might go to the Yanks.
Noel will donate 6 camels for the Americans to have trained at their base here and hopes to send 6 to the US to make it fair when the Aussies go there next. As for what makes a top rider, having no fear and a competitive spirit is compulsory for a Fullerton jockey.
Well, if any of my riders rode without wanting to win, I would never put them on the camel again. They must ride to win. Otherwise, you shouldn't be on it. A lot of people say, oh, it's the sport, it's just the fact you've been participating. It isn't, it's the winning, it's what we're looking for.
The first Camel Cup was a result of Noel issuing a challenge to a fellow Lions Club member back in 1971. The first race was run on the dry Todd riverbed. "20 years along, it's one of the biggest days of the year for Alice Springs. Journey to the outskirts of town, through the Gap to Blatterskyte Park, and you're in the wild world of camel racing. Expatriates of some 150 years, the camels are firmly fixed in outback folklore. And every year at this meeting, more cameleering legends are made. Racers come from as far as Colac in Victoria, a 2-camel farm. Along with the Queensland campaigners, they've come more than 2,500 miles to race.
We would love to win the Cup. We've come a long way. We've come from central Queensland, actually Yeppoon on the Capricorn coast. And last time I was up here, well, we won the Great Australian Camel Race for a camel called Capricorn. So it would be great this second trip up to go back winning the Alice Cup, which I class as the Melbourne Cup of camel sprint racing.
Oh boy, wouldn't the racing stewards have a field day with those guys? Sheriff John Schreck, where are you?
It wasn't a good place to be at the start. I mean,
No.
actually, that terrifying to get on, and then once they lock their front legs, they sort of give it that gyrating up. I mean, when
But they won't run in a straight line. It's straight to the rails.
Oh, that first part there, what about the guy that was up against Mel's daughter?
Yeah.
I mean, he's just going, whoa, over the shop.
Ships of the desert, he was going where the breeze took him. Well, you've seen it here first, the Camel Cup, well, some of it anyway, and Hump Cam. Yeah, we'll be right in the thick of it when we return to the Alice for the running of the Cup.
Yeah, and I doubt if he can give us a winner for the Camel Cup, but one man who's been in great tipping form recently is Kenny Callender. Here he is with the good oil on today's Rosehill meeting. Kenny.
Thanks very much, Max. Yeah, well, here I am at Rosehill Racecourse. Remember when it used to rain on Sydney racetracks? Not these days. What a beaut that is, and it'd be more beautiful if I can tip some of the last 4 winners, which you'll see live on the wide world of sports. The Orlando Wines Cup is the first race we're doing, race 5, the toughest race of the day, almost as hard as winning Lotto, John Tapp's specialty. But I reckon you should stick with the Bart Cummings-trained Carpahula, TAB number 9. At least he'll run the distance, he's well drawn, and he'll get a very, very good run. I like Carpahula. In race 6, one of the best sprinters in Australia returns from a spell, High Regard. He trialled very well here last week. I think he can win. Number 1, High Regard. The second last race, TAB number 5, Snowplow, another Bart Cummings-trained runner. A little bit disappointing in recent runs, but when you remember that he's run in races like the Tulloch Stakes, the Packer Plate and the Gosford Cup, you realise that those horses were too good for him. Back against the rubbish today, number 5, Snowplow in race 7. And in the lucky last, number 3, Mr. Exclusive. Just what every husband is to his wife. Mr. Exclusive in the lucky last. Back to you, Kenny.
Good on you, Ken, our marriage counsellor there. We'll have all the excitement of Rosehill, plus a whole lot more coming your way. Take a look at this.
Classic commercials file. We've come up with a clip that proves that courage comes in handy for whatever your sport might be.
Classic commercials.
So it's pretty quick, huh?
And mean. Here, drink this.
What's in it?
Apple juice. It's cool and crisp. And that's what you'll have to be out there.
It's got to be good for me, right?
Yep, because that maniac bowler sure won't be.
Right.
Fresh up. The cool, crisp taste of pure apple juice. It's got to be good for you.
Run out without facing a ball. Hate it when that happens.
he looked real disappointed.
Good one, Kenny. And plenty of football action around the country last night. In Rugby League, the injury-plagued Brisbane Broncos outgunned the Cronulla Sharks 20-8 at Lang Park. Now, the Broncos kept their semi-final hopes alive and in victory produced the best try of the season.
Halfback Alan Langer typified the...
Well, if that's not the try of the season, I haven't seen one better than that this year.
Well, that's the try of the season so far. Now at the WACA ground in Perth, a crowd of more than 23,000 lapped up a virtuoso performance by the Canberra Raiders. Canberra's 29-12 victory over Manly was led by the crowd's favourite. The one we're talking about is Captain Courageous Mal Meninga.
The big crowd had come to see Big Mel, and he didn't let them down, setting up the first 2 tries. Belcher the beneficiary here.
Lovely ball. Meninga's put Belcher in. Belcher going near. They'll score.
And then Martin.
There in the hit and the breast, and here we go. Here's Meninga. Meninga down to the quarter line. He's got Martin on the outside now. Oh, brilliant football. And Martin races away and scores.
At the break it was 10-2, but early in the second half there was a short-lived Manly revival. But it wasn't enough. The Raiders showed just why they're sitting on top of the premiership table with fast-flowing football that left the Sea Eagles flat-footed.
Quickly the ball comes away to Meninga. Quick hands away. It goes to Belcher again. Belcher will score. He doesn't need to. He gives it to Meninga, who will.
Meninga magic, and the Raiders ruled 29-12.
What a tune-up by Mal for a State of Origin game 2. In the AFL...
Well, our man out of the racetrack, Johnny Tapp, is ready for all the racing there at Rosehill this afternoon. But, Tappy, before all that, we believe you're off to the United States to call some races at Hollywood Park. What a buzz.
Yeah, Ken, it is a buzz. I'm very fortunate to have been invited to cover about 5 race meetings, commencing with a meeting Wednesday next at Hollywood Park, a great track in California. It's a great honour, a great compliment. I'm going to serve it up to them Australian style with maybe 1 or 2 little modifications. I hope to God they can understand what I'm saying. It'll probably be a culture shock, but here goes. I'm airborne on Monday, and I hope I come back with good reports.
Yeah, cut out fair dinkum and things like that, and London to a brick, mate. You'll lose them completely.
No, I'll have to be a little careful, Ken, with cliches and different expressions. The one thing I'll have to watch in going down to you, Kenny Callender, is the fact that there is no metric system over there. They still talk in furlongs, and they use fractions of a furlong. In other words, the 1 furlong post is the 1/8 pole. So it'll be a bit tricky.
Just don't come back with an American accent. You'll be right, son. OK, we're looking at the Orlando Wines Cup here. My tip is Carpahula in a very, very tough race. As I said in the preview, it's almost as hard to pick this winner as it is to strike Lotto. Here we go. Number 1 Chintilla is at 10-1. Card Shark at 6.5-1. Is he over the hill? Well, today I'll probably tell. Gully Gaskin's at 30-1. High Hunter at 33. Resounding at 9-1. He can stay. 33-1 Tristique. I saw a big bet written against him at big odds before I left the betting ring. 13-2, 6.5-1 Dusky Sound. 16-1 Constant Kingdom from the Jack Denham stable. Carpahula is at 4-1. He's my pick. Got a good barrier, trained by Bart Cummings. He'll run a big race. Regal Chella at 7s. Estimable at 6-1. 30-1 Little Squire. That seems big odds. He's got a chance. 40 Southern Express, 40 Hussar Man, 30 Missouri Wolf, and 50 Tiffany Blue. Here's Johnny. They're about to go.
Yes, the line looks good for the Orlando Wines Cup, and they'll be away shortly. The stall's open, they're off, and looked a fairly good start. One of the first out near the inside is Carpahula. Tristique jumped away smartly with Missouri Wolf, and High Hunter, one of the leaders soon after the start. Little Squire coming over from the outside, and Gully Gaskins is prominently placed, followed by Estimable. Southern Express settling down behind those, and then Chintilla Card Shark. A fair way back as they greet the judge the first time is Resounding, followed by Constant Kingdom, and Dusky Sound has now gone out to be last, and Tristique is getting a fair way back in the early stages. Little Squire clear going out of the straight over Gully Gaskins. Missouri Wolf followed by Carpahula. 2 lengths away then is High Hunter, followed after a gap by Estimable, and then Tiffany Blue. Southern Express moving up to join her, and 2 lengths away Chintilla. Over on the fence Hussar Man, and further back Tristique on the outside of Constant Kingdom. Then Card Shark and Resounding with Regal Shalar second last, and 2 lengths away last is Dusky Sound. Past the mile pole and going to the back, and Little Squire with that customary style, the head down low, is lobbing in front at the 1400 mark, and led by about 4 lengths on Gully Gaskins, about 3 or 3.5 to Missouri Wolf on the outside of Carpahula, which are starting to pull a bit now despite the fast pace. A little more than a length to High Hunter, and then Estimable. 2 to Southern Express and Tiffany Blue at the 1200 mark, a gap to Chintilla on the outside of Hussar Man. Further back Tristique and Constant Kingdom, and then Card Shark, followed by Resounding and Regal Shalar, and 2 lengths away last is Dusky Sound in a well spread out field. At the 900 mark, and Gally Gaskins is up attacking Little Squire. He's racing about a neck behind that leader. In third place, 3 deep is High Hunter on the outside of Missouri Wolf, and on the fence, Carpahula, who's travelling very, very easily, but he's in a firm pocket at the moment. A length and a half to Estimable, followed by Southern Express, Tiffany Blue. They're packing up now. Further back, Scintilla, Hussar Man, Dusky Sound taking off, and then Tristique and Regal Shalar. Constant Kingdom got shuffled back to second last, followed by Resounding, and Card Shark as absolute as they turn for home. Into the straight, Gally Gaskins took a narrow lead over Little Squire. Carpahula getting out off the fence, followed by High Hunter, then Missouri Wolf, followed by Estimable, and Southern Express wide out as they come to the 200 mark. Gally Gaskins, the leader. He's gone for the whip on Carpahula, who's about to claim Gally Gaskins. Estimable trying to get between them, and then Missouri Wolf, and further out Scintilla. Estimable bursting through in the middle has headed Gally Gaskins. Carpahula can't go on, and Estimable is spearing away in the last bit, and he's too good. Estimable scored well over the very fast finishing Tiffany Blue. Third's close, Southern Express or Scintilla, then Constant Kingdom, Gally Gaskins. Carpahula didn't come on in the straight from Missouri Wolf, Tristique, and then Regal Shalar, High Hunter, well back Little Squire, Hussar Man, Card Shark and Dusky Sound, and Resounding pulled up with the tail enders. Number 11, Estimable, Craig Carmody is the winner, to pay $6.70 and $2.50. Now second, very fast finishing Tiffany Blue to get second, number 16, a place dividend of $11, and close for third, number 1, Scintilla, showing $4.60, or Southern Express, number 13, a dividend of $14. He sprinted quickly, Ken.
It was a glorious ride, John, by Craig Carmody. He actually hit the lead before he'd really gone for him, and when he went for him, he just left them quickly. A very promising rider, Carmody. He's about 23 years old, just starting to really mature. He's a good one for the punters to follow, John.
Yes, couldn't agree more, Ken. He's freelancing again now after a stint as number 2 rider for Brian Mayfield Smith, but he's nice and light. He can eat what he likes and ride at 50 kilos, and that's a big plus for any jockey. OK, that was the first of 4 on Wide World of Sports. The next one comes up at 5 minutes after 3, but there's plenty more happening on Wide World.
Cup run over 2,400 metres. The correct numbers you can see there: 11, 16 and 13. Estimable, $6.70 and $2.50. Tiffany Blue started about 50 to 1 there, coming in second, 11.30, and 13. Southern Express, fast finishing horse, and it's 14.30 it paid. Kenny Callender has a tip for Sydney Race 6. Let's hope he's a little better than he was last time round. Number 1, High Regard. Good luck, punters. Time to check the scores of the...
For Race 6 here at Rose Hill, we'll just have time to go through these prices. Number 1 is the clear-cut favourite, High Regard. I've picked him, and so have most of the punters. He's going to pay $2.20, 5 to 4. 25 to 1 Eye of the Sky, 8 to 1 All Stormy, 13 to 2 Autumn Dew, 15 Thrifty Reserve, 11 West Dancer. Almost the best back runner, Miss Comanche, is into 7 to 2, still firming about 3 1/4 to 1 now. 16 Party Mood, 20 Gin Rhythm, and 60 to 1 Flight Schedule. I didn't think I'd make it. I hope that High Regard can go as quickly. Here's John.
Kenny, you made it with time to spare because a mare called Miss Comanche flatly refuses to cooperate here. And she's up to within about a length of the gates and just kept turning sideways on, but I think they've got her now by the same token. 3 or 4 gatemen linked hands behind, and Manpower won the day. They've forced her in. She's a 4-year-old chestnut mare by Opera Prince, who was a former crackerjack sprinter himself. And I can remember one day in a race at Caulfield where Opera Prince got up to beat the great Manicato. I think the race was the Churnside Stakes. Now Eye of the Sky moves in. The last couple move up. Eye of the Sky and High Regard are the last in, and now they're all set and ready for the Carrington Civic as the starter Billy Dale picks up the button, and they'll break it any second. Line's good, light flashing. About to go.
Hang on, Bill.
Hang on, Bill. Hang on, Bill. Not ready yet. A couple of riders appealing to the starter to hold it whilst they get set. Still no start. Gates open, off, good start, a beauty. In fact, they came out almost as one, with West Dancer going like a scalded cat, quickly breaking that line of horses. He's going to make High Regard begin from an outside gate, and he's crossing into second spot. Then Flight Schedule and Autumn Dew, followed by Gin Rhythm and Thrifty Reserve, Party Mood, Miss Comanche and All Stormy, and dropping out to be last is Eye of the Sky. At the end of 300, and West Dancer under a good hold, led by 3/4 to High Regard, who got over without too much effort. Running third, Flight Schedule, a length away, Gin Rhythm on the outside. outside of Autumn Dew, a length and a half to Party Mood, followed by Thrifty Reserve. Miss Comanche is travelling 3 deep at the 600 mark. A gap to All Stormy and Eye of the Sky on the outside as last as they come to the corner. Now they're in earnest, and West Dancer led by a length or more to High Regard. 2.5 to Flight Schedule, followed by Autumn Dew. Miss Comanche's had a pretty tough run, and then Thrifty Reserve as they turn where West Dancer is clear. He's got High Regard scrambling, and Troy Phillips has got to pull the whip on the favourite. Autumn Dew 2 lengths away, starting to run on. They've got to get West Dancer with the pull in the weights. He's still in front. Look at this 5-year-old High Regard trying his heart out in second place. He's starting to pull ground off the leader. High Regard is trying to get West Dancer. West Dancer shifted his ground, but he's won it by 3/4 of a length to High Regard. Autumn Dew probably third, just in front of Thrifty Reserve. Eye of the Sky, an eye-catching run. Then All Stormy, Miss Comanche, Flight Schedule, followed by Party Mood, and last of all is Gin Rhythm. Not much doubt in my mind the leader shifted in the last 20 or 30 metres, and he might have slightly balked High Regard, but there's about 3/4 in it, and it certainly didn't make any difference to the result. West Dancer, number 6, $13 and $3.30, High Regard $1.40, and third probably number 4, Autumn Dew, Ken, $1.90.
John, there's no stopping this magic man, Malcolm Johnston. Win after win, and you called it correctly. The horse did drift off the rails. If it had been a head in it, perhaps there'd have been a protest. No hope now. If there is, there's no hope of getting it. West Dancer's won first, and squarely. Fairly and squarely is the words I was looking for, and as a backer of High Regard, I've got no excuses. He ran well. The 58.5 beat him in the straight, I think, John.
Yes, Ken, I agree, and probably just in need of that run under the 58.5. Malcolm Johnston has won 3 of the 6 races run so far. This former golden boy of Sydney racing is back with a bang. Okay, more coming up on Wide World of Sports.
Over 1,200 metres, the correct numbers 6, 1 and 5. West Dancer $13.60 and $3.30. High Regard, which was Kenny's tip, coming second, $1.40, and Thrifty Reserve, I'll get it out eventually, $3.80. Now Kenny Callender has a tip for Sydney race 7. It's number 5, Snowplow, which is exactly what I do when I'm skiing. Let's take another look at the AFL scores. 4 matches being played this afternoon. The big one at VFL Park, the Blues up against Hawthorn. Race 5 at Doomben, the Castlemaine 10,000.
Into the home straight, 350 metres to go. Gladful swept up on the outside of Vic Edgebar and ran to the front. Comrades getting a beautiful run on the inside. Festal now pulled out. Heads of State still there, and Gypsy Rogue on the extreme outside. Prince of Trialia trying to burst through. Now he gets the split, and Prince of Trialia's gone to them. Look at Planet Ruler. Planet Ruler flying on the inside. Prince Trialia in front. Planet Ruler can't catch him. Prince Trialia won the 10,000 and beat Planet Ruler. Third boasting than Gypsy Rogue, followed in by Festal. The next one home, Gladful. Vic Edgebar stopped. Count on Ray next. Shaftesbury Avenue well back with Petrero.
Yeah, and a great finish there, Maxie. I wonder where your money was.
Yeah, well, Planet Ruler, not quite enough legs there, George.
For the running of the big Camel Cup. Let's rejoin Karen Pratt in the Alice as she saddles up with Hump Cam providing a jockey's eye view of the big race.
How nervous are you going into this day?
You'd hate to see my hand out in a straight line. It wouldn't be very still.
We'll have to look at that. Come on, hold it up here.
That's why they're both locked together there. One's holding the other.
They're all camel riders, but some hadn't experienced the unique atmosphere of this race day. Highly competitive, cloaked in the cause of charity, the guise of fun.
Now, how much rivalry is there between, say, you guys as a family and some of the other top camel winners?
Oh, we're all friends until it's race, you know, we're out to win.
For the Kennard brothers, fourth-generation cameleers, winning today would put them on top in their craft. Noel Fullerton has dominated proceedings since this race started 20 years ago. His family riding to victory a total of 8 times, his camels winning every time.
Only when they're not going out the race. You can be out in the town.
And in the pits, Noel's the boss, the marshal in this raucous, rough environment. Camels that seem aloof and regal outside transform to barking monsters in the pits area, their adrenaline rivaling that of their riders. The start of a camel race is like nothing you've ever seen before. A writhing, smelly, loud line of beasts and their burdens, ready to race as soon as the last camel drops down. They run a quarter mile, 15 camels whose form is as fickle as Farlep's was sure.
Go, Henry, go!
I'm so excited, you know. I never
It's that lucky whip, Beth. It's that lucky whip,
The early races are qualifiers for the main event, the Cup, with jockeys allocated to camels just before race time. With half a dozen camels from interstate, the remainder of the camels are pooled. Interstate jockeys ride their own camels while everyone else gets a go. Noel Fullerton's daughter Michelle edged out Graham Kennard for the honours in race 4. Between races, the estimated 5,000 spectators trackside wandered around, happily enjoying one of the Alice's most social days. This was one lineup I wasn't going to wander into. The ladies, well, most of them were, battling it out for the Miss Camel Cup sash. This is a charity day, and a fun beauty contest was all part of the fundraising activities. Some entrants weren't too sure what it was all about, and even the winner had to ask what to do besides smile.
One more time for the camera.
This was the race some had travelled days to run, where reputations were on the line to be lost or won. There was confusion at the start, and a group got away prematurely. The false start heightened the jitters, but finally they were off. Here's some of the big race through Nine's exclusive on-camel camera.
Drop in. Come on, 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 Pess. Come on, Pess. Come on. Come on, get after him. Get after him, Pess. Come on. Get after him. Get after him.
It was the upset of all Camel Cup time. Not a Fullerton camel, not even a local. Instead, a Victorian jockey rode a Victorian camel first past the post.
Good ride. Good ride, Pess. Good ride.
What was the race like?
It's hard. I was getting crushed on the rail and all that. Just glad to win it.
How rough is it out there?
It's quite smooth. She's a real smooth runner. First time she's ever won a race.
The International Challenge, a trophy race between Alice Springs and Virginia City, Nevada, has been going since 1987. The Aussies have won thrice, the US once. The Americans were determined to take it this time, but found the going too tough, surrendering to an Aussie trifecta. There are 12 races on the program today, but the riders and camels you're looking at now weren't doing their stuff for a mere sprint. They're out there playing Australia's most unique game, Po Camelo, and this is the only place in the world where it's played. You couldn't call it a fast game. It needs a little fine-tuning, but still, it was a winner in some quarters.
What makes it good?
The hitting and the goals.
That's it, folks. That's fine. And it's 2-1 in
So Po Camelo's okay by you?
Yes,
Yeah, okay. Oh, they're finished. Good.
The final camel caper was the light-hearted Honeymoon Cup, men racing to pick up their brides halfway round the track.